What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Wednesday night for Thursday. We're live. We're watching games as we speak, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I got two of my guys with me, of course, K1, Kyle Murray, and Brandon Kravitz. I gotta get B a nickname. We'll get to that pretty soon here down the road. But you know the deal. We get the players, we get the caps, we get you guys out of here. But first, we're going to kick it off with what we learned tonight about the NBA. K1, I'm coming to you first. It's early, but give me a nugget that you picked up on today that you want to share with the people.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this a few times now, but man, teams are just running and gunning, and they're trying to put up as many points as possible. It seems like pace is up across the league. And I'm sure that'll die down eventually. You know, obviously these are spots where these teams are and these players are as fresh as they'll be all year. But I certainly think there's a spot where there's at least some interest more for me in overs. And we see it across the league in terms of totals too. A lot of high totals across the board. I tried to bet an under today, did not go well in the Orlando-Detroit game. So that's something that I'm certainly keeping in mind for, because it's leaning towards a lot of overs for player props as well. So that's the main thing that has continued to catch my eye and certainly caught my eye again tonight in the NBA.
BK, Brandon Kravitz, what about you, man? What are you looking at early in the NBA season here?
Well, I agree with that point. I mean, I would love to see, I'm sure our stats guy, Evan Abrams, will have that out in minutes, but the record for overs over the last couple of days, I'm sure, is just outrageous. And I feel like for the most part, if you're undecided, just lean that way. I mean, I think you've got to have some pretty bad offenses out there, and there are very few defenses that are locked down right now. So many teams are trying to play with pace, and we know the three ball is what it is in today's NBA. But I am on the Orlando Magic radio broadcasts, so I was locked in on that tonight. And my God, does this team have some soul searching to do? I found this one. The Magic have now failed to cover in all 5 games this season. 14.4 points per game is the lack of covering they are doing. 0-5 ATS, first time they've done that since 2003. They're the first team since the 2008 San Antonio Spurs to start all 5 games listed as a favorite and not cover a single one of them. And it's just messy out there. They can't defend. Teams are blitzing Desmond Bane, forcing anyone else to shoot, and nobody else seems to be able to do that. So I don't know when this turns around. I'm going to bet against it turning around tomorrow night, or tonight as we're recording this, and we'll get to that in a bit. Also, I need to quit the Raptors because I cannot continue to lose money on this basketball team. I don't know what I saw in them that was so attractive, but I assure you we are going to go through a very toxic and unhealthy breakup here over the next couple of days.
Yeah, that was one team that was getting a lot of smoke in the preseason, and everyone was telling me how Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes were going to work. I wasn't sold. I'm still not sold. So, yeah, let's see where it shakes. But for me, what I learned tonight, man, look out for Jalen Duren's points plus rebounds props when they're playing. The Pistons are playing a team that can't defend inside. Duren's, of course, going to rebound like he always does, but he's getting to the line and he's scoring a bunch of points, but he's knocking free throws down. This year he's shooting 79%. Last year he shot 67%. He had a game tonight where he was 11 of 12 from the line, and then a couple nights ago he was 12 of 13 from the line. So if they're going to put him on the line, he's going to be physical with teams that don't want to be physical with him on the block down low. Take a look at Duren's points props. I think you might be shocked at the numbers you're seeing with the potential output that he can produce, especially if he's getting to the line. Look out for Jalen Duren. P plus R going forward here early on in the NBA season.
Yeah, double machine too. So if that's a route that you want to go with Duren, they need his physicality. He's kind of him and Isaiah Stewart. I feel like those guys are the personality Cade Cunningham is the engine that makes it all go, but those guys are the personality of the type of team that Detroit wants to be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The crown is yours always, every day at DraftKings. Let's kick it to my guy, Matt Moore, the mayor, as BK called him yesterday, of the Buckets podcast, from a word from our DK sponsor.
The Buckets podcast is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, and in partnership with DraftKings, Buckets listeners get a great offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, and 3 months of NBA League Pass. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $300 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. The crown is yours.
All right, let's get to the reason why you guys are here. Some picks. 3-star, you know the routine. We now go 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. We got a 4-game slate for tomorrow, Thursday, in the association. I'm going to come to you first, Kyle Murray. Give me your 3-star pick for the 4-game slate.
Yeah, I'm gonna, in the absence of Michael Fiddle, I'm gonna go to his team here, the Warriors, taking the Golden State Warriors -2.5. This opened at 1.5, and I got it early there, but still like it quite a bit at 2.5. I like the Warriors quite a bit in this spot. I think we saw the Bucks, at times over the past couple of games get a little bit, I think we saw some weaknesses on the defensive end and kind of what they can be. And I think obviously this team can only go as far as Giannis can carry them. And I think the Warriors are a team that's equipped to stall him and slow him down. So I'm more than happy to back the Warriors. I'll talk a little bit more on my next play about why I like them on the offensive end. But again, I think this is just a team that looks really good when you look at some of the overall ratings of this team throughout the first 6 or 7 games of the season. They grade out as a top 10 team for me. I have them 8th. They have one of the highest net ratings in the NBA as well. The Bucks also do have a pretty solid net rating, but their strength of schedule has been much easier than the Warriors. So I do like the Warriors quite a bit here at -2.5.
The good old Golden State Warriors. I feel like they're just equipped with the additions and, of course, the way the guys are playing. I think Kuminga's not getting enough credit for how much he's contributing. Once that looks like it's got settled for at least the year or at least half the year, depending on what shakes at the deadline, they got a good-ass fucking basketball team. It's cohesive. They got a couple guys at the head of the snake. The thing about Jimmy that we already know is he could care less about scoring. As long as shit's running smoothly and he has guys that he trusts and he can go to, he'll continue to do that. And then if things aren't going that way, he'll put it on the deck himself, score, get to the line, do what is necessary. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to hate on Golden State. Brandon, what do you think?
I mean, the market's already supported this notion. This opened at Warriors -1.5 and got bet up quickly. I mean, whenever that's happening this late into the night as these lines open up, that's usually a pretty good indication that you're on the right side. So I'm going to double down on the Fiddle love here because that sounds like something that he would say. But this Golden State Warriors team, I am not a buyer in them season long, but I am a believer in their ability to look the way that they have looked and continue to do that until, maybe we get to Christmas. This is an older team. When you have Steph, I don't worry so much about Steph, but Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, when you're depending on guys like this, I think there's a ceiling to the success there, especially with all of these young teams and the pace that these teams want to play with across the league. But early on, the unks, if you will, are kind of ruling the roost here. So I'm with that. I think the general market hasn't adjusted properly on Milwaukee. This is not a very good basketball team. Middle of the road at best.
Yeah, interesting because they looked really good against the Knicks the other day. And Brandon, I'm going to go ahead and give my 3-star because it's correlated with K1's Warriors pick. I'm going to go Brandon Podziemski over 10.5 points -110. Milwaukee has flat out struggled to slow down backcourts, guards all year long. AJ Green, Ryan Hollins, Cole Anthony just flat out aren't cutting it on the defensive end. If you go game by game, and I will, let's list them out. Game 1 versus the Wizards, Middleton and Keyshawn George scored a combined 44 points on 16 of 29. You then go to game 2 against the Raptors. Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel quickly scored 68 combined on 25 of 46 from the floor. Game 3 against the Cavs, Sam Merrill scored 17, Lonzo Ball scored 11, Donovan Mitchell had a regular day with 24, but the Cavs in totality only scored 118. So when you're giving up 17 to Sam Merrill, that's a big chunk there. And then, of course, the other night against the Knicks, Brunson has an easy 36, wasn't pressed at all, put up almost 40. Shamet had 16. Jordan Clarkson had 10. So, of course, Steph Curry is going to get a ton of attention. Jimmy's going to get a ton of attention. I think this is a good spot for Podziemski for a team that struggles to guard guards, backcourts, and deal with them and doesn't really have a plan for them whatsoever. Is a good spot for Podziemski to get 11 plus in this spot. Brandon, I'll come right back to you, and then we'll get projections from K1 on Podziemski. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you guys are on the money. I mean, this Milwaukee team is sitting at 3-1 right now, but they're kind of a paper tiger with the way that they've been defending. So they're so good at Fiserv. That's the thing that I worry about here. But outside of that, the guards should have absolute success in this matchup. So I will probably end up on Golden State here, and if they do get home, it's going to be because of the backcourt.
K1, what do you got for Podziemski in this matchup? Tell me, whisper some sweet nothings in my ear, and tell me you have Podziemski at like 11.7 points in this game or something.
Hey, pretty spot on. 11.6 for pods here.
See?
But the one thing I will say, a lot of the times when I do these really early projections, some of the minutes are pretty rough. And Steve Kerr came out and said that this team's going to alternate a lot between Quentin Post and Pod starting. I'm not sure if this is necessarily a spot where Post goes to the bench, but I certainly think that there's a chance. And if that gives it an even more of a minutes boost there for Pods, where he can get back into that 30, 31-minute role, I think that his projection will only be higher. So you're essentially buying low on this when in my projections going based off him still retaining that bench role, 26 and a half minutes, gets him that 11.6 point projection. But if he gets back into that starting rotation, 29, 30 minutes, he'll probably be looking closer to, 13 and a half points. So I like this play quite a bit.
Yeah, in 3 of the first 5, he's played 32 plus minutes, only played 22 against Portland, which was a blowout. They got smacked up, so he didn't play too many in that spot. Then in that low-scoring game against the Clippers, he only played 27 minutes, but in 3 of the 5, he scored 30. This should be a tight game. I think they'll need Podziemski's versatility in this matchup here. So I like this spot a lot for Pods. 3-star for me. All right, Brandon, what is your 3-star play for the 4-game NBA slate on Thursday?
Let's not overthink this one, gentlemen. Victor Wembanyama over 42.5 points plus rebounds. Wemby terrorizing the league right now. We've seen him shoot up the MVP odds boards for good reason. 31 points per game, and he's rebounding too, which is why I'm attacking it this way. Miami is playing at a frenetic pace, so we're going to see more shots in this game, more opportunities for rebounds, and outside of Khalil Ware, who is standing in front of Wemby to get boards? This is going to be like dad playing ball out on the driveway with his kids. Wemby's cleared this in 3 of 5 so far, and in his last game only played 30 minutes. In that one, it was sort of a blowout, so fell short by just a couple. I do think the Heat, and this team is hot right now, pardon the pun. I do think this game will be competitive, and Wemby will show out for the folks at Frostbank. So give me over 42.5 points and rebounds. And you can get this at 41.5, by the way, on DraftKings, but I got a bad number.
There you go. I'm going to go to UK1 on this spot. Tell me what you think about Wemby here in this matchup against the Heat, because my 2-star is somewhat correlated, but not in the not on the side that Brandon wants it to be. I'm actually going to be on the under in this spot. I'll come back to it, but talk to me about this Wemby over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can skip to my 1-star play if we want to do that, because it is a Victor Wembanyama play. And maybe
good luck keeping up with the stars, Sean.
Yeah, that's just
or we can
give
wait.
me a little overview, and then we're going to glance over the ones anyway. But just talk to me about Wemby, the matchup, and then if you lean over or not so much in the spot.
I will say I love the cap that Brandon gave on the Wemby rebound side of things. I think it's a great call. Pace is up. Not really too many guys matching up all that great. against him on the glass. So the rebound number projects quite well for me on the Wemby side as well. I am on the other side here for points, which we'll get to later, but I think everything that Brandon said makes a lot of sense, especially the rebounding cap with the pace and the matchup on Miami. So those are my thoughts on Wemby tonight.
Okay, well, I'll get into my 2-star then and talk about the Heat Spurs because I'm on the under 232.5 at -110. That's my 2-star play. I think the Heat's offense has been playing over its head. They've been playing extremely well to start the year. True shooting is number 2 in the NBA at 63%. But Norm Powell's popped up on the injury report. He's doubtful with a groin tomorrow, which I don't love, especially with the big fella Wemby patrolling. Spurs are only allowing 39 points per game in the paint, and that's where Jaquez has been wreaking havoc and doing his thing running the floor. Miami scores 58 points per game in the paint, so it's a little big on big situation, but I'll lean Wemby at home for those guys to win that matchup. So you're already playing a little bit over your head. Then you lose a big-time shooter and scorer overall in Norm Powell, and a big strength of yours has been running the floor and doing a lot of things in the paint, which is playing into a strength of Wemby and the Spurs. I think 232.5 is a touch high for me. I had like this at like 229.5. So I'm going to go under here in this spot for my 2-star play. Brandon, I'll kick it back to you since you like what we could both cash here. It could both be, it could be Christmas for both of us.
This could just be all this could just be all Wemby. I was looking at this game from every single direction. I took everything into account and just eventually said, you know what? Let's stop doing research and let's just bet Victor Wembanyama and be on with our day. My concern with your reasoning is spot on eventually. I mean, this is sort of like the argument we had last night about the Magic. And you had the under and the Magic Pistons. And, I mean, you're like, hey, this is going to be a grind. The Magic are going to get back to defense. Like, yeah, eventually. But is it tonight? The Miami Heat are absolutely playing over their heads. But overs are cashing left and right in this league right now. And Miami's part of the reason why. I do think it's going to cool down. I have a hard time sometimes projecting when that cool down is going to happen. San Antonio's defense has been really good. So I hope that you're right. I hope that we both cash on this. Do you want me to go to my 2-star here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Magic Hornets over 240. The Magic cannot defend right now. Is this an emotional play because I just got done watching them give up another $135? It's possible. You can do what you want with that. I would typically zig while everybody else is zagging. To Sean's point, his mindset on attacking these plays is the profitable one long term. You don't want to just keep chasing your tail as a sports bettor, but this is a back-to-back on the road. It is not likely, that they have time to get in the gym, but it's not going to happen, and focus on their defensive principles. And they get a Hornets team that ranks 6th in points per 100 possessions, 4th in points per game. Back-to-back games now where the Magic have given up 135 or more. But here's the thing. The offense has actually looked pretty good for the Magic. Last year, they averaged 104 per game. Just to put this into perspective, they were dreadful. That was dead last in the league. They're at 113 per this season. Charlotte's not going to stop them. And I'm not sure the Magic can stop anybody right now that has a semblance of offense. And as long as LaMelo Ball is out there, the Hornets do have that. So until I'm proven otherwise, I'm just going to keep betting the Magic games over, because right now this is an over basketball team. I think at some point they get back to what they were a year ago, but there is no proof that that's happening. And so I'm not going to predict that it happens tomorrow.
Yeah, K1, it's hard to argue that. What do you think? Looks like early money's coming in on Orlando coming off the loss. It's now 3.5 in the market, minus 155 on the money line at DraftKings. What do you think of the total play here?
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I was someone that was on the under in the Orlando game tonight against Detroit, and my model likes the over in this one, projecting this one up near 250. Everything Brandon laid out with the pace and the scoring has been, pretty ideal for both sides. But I think one thing like that I've noticed over the past few years is that we'll see some teams who will pop from a pace perspective, and then they come down really quickly. I think the oftentimes when you see it be more sustainable is when we hear some of this offseason, whispers about it. And that's something that we've heard from Charlotte over the last 2 years since Lee took over. And I think seeing them be a top 10 team in pace is not all that surprising at all. We know they're not going to be that great defensively. And honestly, it is a bummer they've lost Brandon Miller, but they have so many guys who can fill up the bucket from anywhere on the floor. So I think both these teams will be able to score at will. So I like the overplay here quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so all over Orlando the last couple of years and the identity of them and just hard-nosed, grinded out hoop. And they clearly are trying to change their identity, but they're trying to figure out how to do both cohesively, and it just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if Charlotte is the best squad to try to figure out how to slow a squad down offensively. This is a team that's going to want to get out and score. So, yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I do lean the over there. All right,
I want to point out, like, this part of the reason why I jumped to the over on this is because the Magic have been playing at a much faster pace up until tonight. They slowed it up, and they still gave up 135 points. And that was problematic. So even if I think they recognize some of their issues. To me, if you're just looking for, and this is the last thing I will say about this team, and then we will move the hell on. Until Jalen Suggs is playing his full minutes allotment, I don't think this team can get back to their defensive principles.
Yeah, I think that's that we could leave it right there. I think that's well said and correct. So, yeah, Suggs is but it didn't look this bad when he went down last year.
I was thinking tonight as well, which is tough. It's very strange. Well, Jonathan Isaac isn't getting minutes either, and when he's on the floor, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. They're not giving him minutes. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's strange to say this. I think they miss Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Yeah, I'm thinking about what's the personnel change. I mean, Desmond Bane was in a minus 21 in the box.
I mean, Cole Anthony brings a lot to the locker room. You never know. Might have been more than you realized.
Yeah, right. Not defensively, but personality-wise.
Yeah,
sure.
Personality.
Don't drag me into another Magic conversation. I'm over this.
Know. All right, K1, give me your 2-star pick. I know you're going back west.
Yeah, I'm staying in that Golden State game. Obviously, I've talked about why I think Golden State has a good chance to win. And I guess real quick, I'll comment on a question we got from Antonio in the chat. Saying you can't seriously think Draymond can shut down Giannis. I don't think anyone can really shut down Giannis, but I think if there was a team that is capable of stalling him to the point where they can win a ball game, I do think the Warriors are one of the few teams that I would probably take at the top of that list. Especially, I do think adding Al Horford will certainly help. Obviously, I think Draymond is amongst the top of that group as well. But getting back into this pick, I'm taking Steph Curry over 35.5 PRA. We haven't really seen the full complement of Steph so far this season. There's been a lot of games where he's failed to even touch 30 minutes. He's actually only played 30 minutes twice this season, and he hasn't played over 30 minutes in any of the last 3 games. So I think we're getting a bit of a discount on this number as well. Sean's already touched about it on a couple times with how bad this Milwaukee team has been at defending some of these guards and wings. I think that's going to play right into the hands of Steph Curry. I project him for closer to 37.5 PRA in this spot. And when you're looking at the potential matchup, 3-point percentage allowed by some of these guards and wings has been a very good spot against the Milwaukee Bucks. So Steph Curry projects well. I think all of the potential market evaluations that you're making in terms of where other spots are at, and maybe seeing a bit of a discount on this number due to some poor past performances, I think it's all looking good here for Steph Curry. So give me the over on the PRA.
Yeah, it's hard to argue, man. When I was going through what guards have been doing to this squad defensively or offensively against a team, they didn't guard guards well last year with Dame and the rotation and all that stuff. Now it still hasn't gotten much better with Sam Merrill and the rest. So yeah, AJ Green, excuse me, I agree with you in this spot, Kyle. So I like it. I like our guy Steph coming off a day of rest as well. Brandon,
this is sounding like a budding same game parlay right now between the Warriors' love to win the game, Bajimski, Steph Curry. I think something can get cooked up here.
We might. That's funny you said that. We might have something towards the end of the show for the people to take a little nibble on.
Get Matt Moore to edit our graphics again.
All right, let's jump into the 1-stars. Brandon, give them to me. We'll roll through them, and then we'll talk a little bit about them, and then get to that same game parlay.
All right, I like the Wizards plus 14.5. There is a 15 out there in the market if you can scoop that up. This OKC team is just a little sketchy right now. 1-4 ATS. That's a really big number for a Wizards team that is not as bad on the floor as people think.
Hey, retweet all of it, because that's my 1-star play as well. Wizards plus 14.5, minus 110, 15 out there. Like BK said, no J-Dub, no Chet. Both those guys are out. Isaiah Joe is questionable last I saw on the injury report. He might be coming back, but I just can't lay this number with the way the Thunder have been going about their business to start the year. They haven't been as dominant. They haven't been suffocating guys like they were last year, and I'm just not going to lay this big of a number. So I got to take the 14.5 with the Wizards as well. Kyle Murray, what are you looking at for your 1-star?
Yeah, real quick, I've been working on a little bit of a game model, and I have this one projected at 10.5 or even closer to 10, so I like that one as well. My 1-star, I guess we're going to get to a point where we might need a settle from you here, Sean, but I'm taking the under on Victor Wembanyama, 28.5 points. I mean, trust me, guys, I know that this is the worst thing to possibly tell a guy who's maybe the best player in the league right now, at least in some of the best form, and I'm bringing it under to you on him. And I know how bad it looks, but the model tells me what I needed to hear sometimes, and 25.5 is where I project Wemby. Even when you're looking at a little bit of a boosted minutes projection, I still think 26.5 is probably going to be a spot where I would have Wemby projected top line. That's including a lot of these boosts on usage rate. For what it's worth, my model doesn't really take into account current season scoring right now. Obviously, we have such larger samples in previous years, mainly last year. It is factoring in a little bit at this point in time, but currently it's not taking over and only looking at this year's data for the sample size. But that's certainly where the projection difference is coming between here and the markets. But when you're looking at other spots, you're seeing some 27.5s out there. So I do think there are some market indicators pointing towards the under on 28.5 for Wemby. So that's where I'm looking here tonight. And trust me, I know it's not pretty, but I think the matchup also is pretty tough here. Miami's been top 5 in terms of defensive efficiency. And yes, they are playing at a fast pace, so that will certainly help. And there are certainly better players to fade out there, but I'm going to take the under on the low number for Victor Wembanyama tonight.
Yeah, I think by default, Miami is going to end up slowing down because defensively, the Spurs
100%.
match up well with what they've been doing well without Norm Powell being on the floor. I think you're going to have to slow it down a bit from what they've been playing if they want to compete and just keep the game in control and kind of keep it in a game flow that they're comfortable with. Because I think if they try to continue to push the rock and do the things they've been doing to start the season, it plays right in to the San Antonio Spurs hand. So yeah, it's never fun. What does our guy Matt Moore say? It's never fun when you fade either a superstar or when you're picking a future out there. It never feels comfortable, but that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. All right, before we get out of here, the DK, our guys at DraftKings, the crown is yours. We're going to put together a little parlay, and this is what it is. It was already put together. It's a mix of our picks from the show. It's only a 4-game slate. It's actually all just we just snagged a couple of our favorite plays from our 3-star, 2-stars, and 1-stars. We're going to go Golden State Warriors minus 2.5, Brandon Pajemski over 10.5 points, Steph Curry over 35.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and then the Wizards plus 14.5, plus 959 over at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Go plug it in. Go play it. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's going to do it for the Buckets Boys Thursday show. For Kyle Murray, for Brandon Kravitz, I'm your host, Sean Little. Until next time, which is tomorrow, let's get buckets, baby.